Greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. I'm Andrii, and here with Zarathustra Goertzel and Amanda Lindner, discussing Indigo Ray, the chakra responsible for intuition and psychic ability. We'll talk about what it is, how to activate it, and keep it clear. We're just fellow seekers along the path. Take what resonates and leave the rest behind. Now Zar's intro.
Okay. Hello, we welcome you to this Law of One podcast in the love and light of the One Infinite Creator. This is a teaching experiment founded on unity, harmony, and unconditional love, covering the topic of the Indigo Ray Energy Center, or chakra. We are grateful to those who listen to our teaching experiment, and we thank those of LL Research who have channeled and continue to channel and produce spiritual information to this day. We thank those entities of the Confederation of Planets in the service of the One Infinite Creator that provide the information we wish to discuss. It is our desire to serve through this experiment. We are attempting to teach and learn a topic as a social memory complex. This means we desire and have the goal to teach a topic as a harmonious group. At this point, we wish to make it clear that we are not experts or authorities on any such topic we cover, and we are not infallible on what we have to say. We would ask that you use your own discrimination to determine whether the words and concepts we share with you have value in your spiritual journey at this time. If there are any that do not resonate, we would ask you to lay them aside and think not a second thought about them, and use only those words and concepts that speak to your heart, that speak to your journey that you are now on, as we do not wish to be a stumbling block in your seeking. Thank you for watching, and we will start with Amanda.
Hello, everyone. I read all the information that my fellow people here sent me. There is one that really resonated with me when I started my journey. I knew nothing of this stuff. So I'm going to read a quote. It's 1990, text 21. It says, "But in reality, there is not a single direction to this movement. It is rather a movement which goes simultaneously backwards and forwards, as it were. The adept thus finds that the movement in the direction of what is sought, of movement which indeed is initiated by the adept, does not terminate either at the point within the line of sight or of the adept or one outside this line of sight, but rather opens a hallway of love and light that returns again into the adept. It is a stream which flows outward and inward simultaneously. It is this situation which is described in your scriptures when they advise the student that if you ask, you will indeed receive, for indeed, in truth, the asking is the receiving, the seeking is finding. This is perhaps the most basic secret known and noble in Indigo Ray. This is the foundation for platform upon which all further work may be done." So to me, this, if you ask, of course, receive, for me, this, it just doesn't stop after you think you've attained. It's a continuous flow. You keep working, the love, the light, it just is so simple that it made really a lot of sense to me. You look inside yourself, outside, and you keep doing this. It just doesn't stop because you think you've attained it. It's a continuous seeking and applying. That's what I got out of that quote. For me, it makes sense. A lot of this makes sense. There's so much.
Zar, did you have a comment on that, or?
You can go first.
I'm not not entirely sure,
Yeah.
but yeah, there is a kind of an ingoing and an outgoing in Indigo
Okay.
Ray. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, my interpretation of some of this seems to be that when taking the view of self as the infinite creation with this non-dual perspective, like the seeking and the sought become part of one dynamic process. It isn't just like an outgoing search.
Right. You have to look within, and I think continuously looking within, and that's what I feel.
Cool. Zara, did you want to say anything more or do your quote?
I guess my first quote is a very short one. My first quote is from Quo in February 19th of 2003, which is, "Within this system of cosmology, shall we say, the gateway to intelligent infinity rests above the energy center known as the brow chakra or the indigo ray chakra, and hence work of the indigo ray is the work which has most directly or proximally to do with opening the gateway to intelligent infinity. The discipline of the personality and work in consciousness is the precinct and purpose of this energy center." So for me, coming at it from the logical point of view, this seems to come very close to defining the scope of work for the Indigo Ray Center into two related categories, which the discipline of the personality seems to be about character sculpting and figuring out how one wants to live life and be, and consciousness work is very much in the direction of meditation. So this feels like a high-level definitional stance.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah. Amanda, did you want to comment on that?
So, okay, just for new people, for coming into this, working with the indigo, you also need to work on your lower chakras and your energy centers and move up towards your heart. And the heart, to me, potentiates all the systems. So when you open your heart and you work on that, and it just helps you to open up the indigo ray, and you're able to maybe see outside the box, as I put it. So for the new people, because honestly, it's a learning process for me. So,
So my understanding is that the heart and the indigo ray are largely independent, because the service to self people can activate their indigo ray without activating their heart. And the main things are for like the discipline of the personality and a feeling of worthiness, like that you are the one infinite creator, and are worthy of this information that you're trying to get through intuition. And that's basically the essential aspects of getting the intuitions. But I think that also there's another aspect in terms of learning things, is that you also have to apply them. And I think that's where the discipline of the personality comes in, because if you get information but then you don't do anything with it, it's kind of like a failed investment. You know.
right.
And then like the spirit may not be as inclined to give you more information. But if you get the information and then you use the information, like you process it as catalyst at least, then that kind of keeps it going. Like you get a positive feedback loop kind of thing. And then you can get more information and then more information, you know, as you apply it. And to your personality.
Right. Well, words without action, you know, I mean, it just sits there.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like following through. All right. So I have a quote here. 2018, 11/17. I am Kuo, and am aware of your query, my brother. The one-pointed focus that allows the seeker of truth to attempt and eventually attain the activation of the indigo ray is a great and primary portion of this ability to activate the indigo ray, for its eventual activation of itself, of the spirit, and uses this spirit as a shuttle for contact with the one infinite creator. However, we would also suggest that the indigo ray is the seat of the self, which is the one in creator manifested as the creative power of love. This, when realized fully within any seeker of truth, gives such seekers a sense of worth, of self worth, as you might say, and it is able to see itself as the one in creator, whole and perfect, worthy in every respect, in order to continue processing catalyst, so that there is the gaining of the knowledge of the self at each lower energy center, in a way in which these various aspects of the self are then put together in the indigo ray energy center, so that there is then a wholeness of being experienced by the seeker of truth. So yeah, to me, well, that's kind of summarizes what I just said. But here it also says the importance of love, um, and its creative power, and I think it has to do with loving yourself in terms of feeling yourself to be worthy. That's kind of the most pertinent aspect that I see here. How about you guys? What do you think?
I agree. If I agree that loving yourself, in order to truly, for me, in order to truly um, love unconditionally, you need to really be okay with yourself, love yourself and all your aspects of yourself, and then you can apply that or love somebody as the same, as you love yourself, and you open up a whole bunch of avenues. Your spirituality, um, everything, and you're not so hardened, hardened. Um, and honestly, since I've been putting this stuff into action, I feel myself less, the quote kids all use these days, triggered and settled and not so fast to attack. So it really does, it helps people. It really, really does. And I hope that more people will open themselves up to this way of life, perhaps.
Hmm.
I apply it, and I try to apply it to everyday life. I really do, and it does help. Mm-hmm.
Did you have a comment, Zar?
Yeah. Oh, it's good to hear that applying this helps. There's a lot packed into this passage for me. Like it seems to touch on how like the wholeness that is felt with the indigo ray energy involves like love for self, love for other self, as well as the continual processing of catalysts so that the whole energy body is also working in harmony and is able to be whole.
Yes, I read a lot of this, and I agree. Harmonizing the whole body, everything. It is work, but it can be done. Nothing is gained without a little work.
Amanda, did you want to do another quote?
There was one here that where is that? What I was really interested in is it's from 1991. I'm not sure if this was a question. It says the question today has to do with how one can use the heart chakra, the opening of the heart chakra, as a springboard to acceptance of self. That is a process usually found or engaged in the indigo ray center. how can one, by learning more compassion and understanding, begin to accept the self in a way which the self has previously not been accepted? There was nothing after that, but opening your heart. Like you said, it I don't know. You said it does. It's independent of the indigo ray, but when opening your heart, to me, doesn't that what's the word I want to use? Potentiates the indigo ray. If your heart is open and you've done the work, and and doesn't it like potentiate the indigo ray, and you are able to access better, if that's a lack of a word, and any insight into that? I mean, the heart is really truly, you're opening up and you're allowing. So, when you can do that, everything else above, if you work on it, opens up also.
Yeah, I think I saw some passages that discussed how one tries to abide mostly in the fifth and sixth chakras. It can be very peaceful and stable, and yet it's harder to have the like fully integrated system with all the lower energy systems, whereas the heart involves itself with everything and can have even an even more integrated system.
Right.
I'm not fully sure how this looks from the SDS side of things.
Yeah. Well, the relevant quote, I think, for this heart thing is 2007 11/24. Once an entity has reached the point where the heart is open and energy is flowing freely, he may then choose to move into the higher chakras. If he wishes to do work in consciousness, such as meditation, healing, prayer, or inspirational reading and reflection, he moves very consciously and deliberately into the indigo ray chakra, the home of faith. And then it talks more in 2006 1008. The indigo ray energy center is the next nexus of energy along this road. It is the seed of those who are attempting to find rest from weary searching. It is this chakra in which faith is the characteristic attitude, and in which work in consciousness may be done. Once the typical spiritual seeker discovers the possibilities of becoming more advanced spiritually, it begins to set goals for the self. It begins to wish for the self a certain degree of spiritual maturity. So, kind of yeah, I think the heart is definitely a stepping stone on the service to others path, because you have to like love and accept yourself as worthy, and then have kind of faith from the weary searching. So before, like you're always kind of like trying to figure out how it works. Say for instance, even in the Blu-ray, it's an analytical process of wisdom, and then based on past experiences. But in indigo ray, what you're working on is your like, okay, what's the answer, and then I am worthy of receiving this answer from the one infinite creator. And then you receive the answer, and then you have faith that that's the answer. you know And so, but yeah, I think that if the heart is the for the service to others, it's kind of like important, so that you apply your knowledge and intuition in a service to others way. But like you could just as easily apply it in a service to self way. If your heart was closed, you could use that intuition to take advantage of others or something like that. So having the heart open, then you're using your intuition to be of service to others.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, from my understanding so far, faith allows a certain sort of very inclusive relationship with the rest of the universe, where I can allow myself to be a part of like greater universal action that may benefit me and may benefit other entities and can flow through me. Whereas I imagine without that faith aspect, recognizing self as creator might be quite a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like basically the service to self path, it is recognizing the self as creator, and that's quite possibly one of the main reasons why people on the service to self path from third density, instead of activating their heart, they activate the indigo ray, because they achieve at least that understanding. Like the service to others people, they recognize everyone is, one infinite creator, but they don't necessarily recognize themselves as one infinite creator. Because they're serving those other people, being like, oh, these people are worthy of service. They have divine within them, but they're not necessarily saying, I am God. Hey,
Oh,
because that's what
we become so focused on the
other
rest of the universe and serving others that we forget that we're on the same level and
exactly. And so by having remembering that we are also the one infinite creator, that we are also worthy, that we also are deserving, then we can open our third eye and access intelligent infinity, and then have access to all of that information that the God has, omniscience.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's important to I think also understand that the intelligent infinity is a time-space phenomenon rather than a space-time phenomenon. So you may get intuitions, but they may not be the same, like about possibly what someone else might be thinking or something like that. But that's not necessarily the same thing that that person is thinking in space time. Like if you were to go up to that person and ask them, did you think that? And they'd be like, no, I didn't. But in the time space, it's like it's one of the realistic possibilities of what they thought, or like maybe their higher self thinks or something like that. At least that's my take on it. Yeah. Zar, did you want to do a quote?
Sure. So like my interpretation of discipline of the personality is basically character sculpting. And this quote is from Hatton in November 14, 1985. So this type of transformation is that related to the Indigo Ray Energy Center, as it has been called by this group, in which the seekers offer the knowledge of self as creator, the knowledge of self as being of infinite worth. The self, then as creator, has then as its first opportunity the creation of the self. That which you have been and that which you have desired provides some of the resources upon which you may draw for the creation of a new self. And within that which now exists are avenues and pathways of connection between that which you are and have been and the greater self, the one creator which surrounds and supports you always. This resource is infinite in nature and waits only a request to give unto you those portions which you desire. And my interpretation of this is that once becoming one with the creator and the universe, one of the first tasks is to figure out how to sculpt one's own character into something that one finds truly resonant with all of one's learning and understanding so far, in some harmonious whole. And part of being a creator in general is creating with the self that is here now.
Yeah. Amanda, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, so working on your character the types personalities. And for me, as I don't know if this is correct, but for what I took of that, so you start out at one point and you're working on yourself, and are you reorganizing or maybe refining to working towards a more positive self? Is that am I going in the right direction with that? I
If
mean,
that
that's
is, I think that is one way. Like,
hmm
I guess
put it.
another passage from 2023, actually, in January 14 is, as you are able to successfully utilize this grist for the mill, this food for growth and catalyst, you move higher and higher in your chakras and you become more and more of the 360-degree being that is the one infinite creator.
hmm
So I think processing catalysts and exploring how to grow on the STO path is working on maybe higher polarization and becoming a more fully rounded being.
hmm
Yet
Right.
this is part of our choice as to how to grow.
hmm
And in a sense, well, intuitively it sounds like actually choosing how to like guide my ongoing growth is adopting a stance of like very high worth. Like
hmm
I am trusting myself to have like judgment and direction as to how it's actually nice to grow.
hmm
So I'm not letting some external entity tell me I should grow in this direction.
Right. So you are focused on yourself and how you feel about it. I mean, and obviously, um, some people want to go down the negative, others want to
Mhm.
go to the positive polarity. I guess it's all a choice. Um, so free will.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So I think that's a good summary. And here I got another quote on the discipline of the personality, which ties in with the Indigo Ray. 1990 0225. We come to you as those who have learned mindfulness. We find in this instrument's mind the phrase to pray without ceasing. This is a good phrase to express that which is we mean by being mindful. In meditation, you tabernacle with the Infinite One. You listen to the silence that speaks deeply without words and gives the information that will give you the energy, the joy, and the faith to move ahead. Without the meditation, it is very difficult to remain in a state of unity with your greater self, with the Creator within. This is the heart of the discipline of personality. And so, what this means to me is kind of being aware, like, doing enough meditation that you are aware of all of your thoughts all the time. You're aware of where they're coming from, why they happened in your mind, and you're able to, process them as they come in, and deal with them. And then you can also align your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions so that they're all consistent. So
Mhm.
this is kind of part of the discipline of the personality, because, like, say, an undisciplined personality, like an average person of the sinkhole of indifference, they're just kind of like floundering about, and they got like mishmash of thoughts in their head and feelings, and they're like, they don't really know or even necessarily care about what's going on in there, or why they have the feelings that they do, or why they have the thoughts that they do. And they kind of just identify with it. They're like, oh, that's me, oh, that's how I feel. And then you
hmm
know and then if they're on this, polarizing service to self, they're like trying to control other people based on that. And then the service to others, you try to accept that. And so with kind of the indigo ray, and with the meditation, you're really getting to a fine place of doing things with it. Because I guess the sinkhole of indifference person wouldn't do anything with it. They would just kind of I don't know, art. They're like, that's just how I am, and they wouldn't try to control anyone, and they wouldn't try to accept it either. They would just kind of like hold it in as a resentment, and then that usually leads to cancer or disease. And so, but by actually processing the catalyst, that's a good thing to do. And intuition, that is basically how intuition works, right? Because you go into that silence of meditation and you ask a question and then you receive the answer. And then you have to be able to like discern. It's like, am I just saying this to myself, or did a spirit come and tell me that? And that all takes practice. That all takes meditation, and that takes a lot of discipline of the personality.
Absolutely, I agree because I've asked people why they feel that way, or why they react, and emotional intelligence. It's kind of like that. You learn why people are acting a certain way, and why you react, and I actually now I stop and I have to I think about what I'm going to say to somebody. If you're in a conversation and one of the other parties is getting a little heated, and I sit back and go, okay, they're acting like this for whatever, and then I have to respond in a more appropriate way, other than just coming out and blurting out whatever, and a lot of people do that and they really don't know why. But sitting and, like you said, meditating and really thinking about things instead of just what you were taught, because a lot of us were in this little box and you were taught this is what you do. Well, a lot of times that's not a good way. So I really think that practice makes perfect. Not perfect, but continuously practicing and putting it into motion is a key factor.
Yeah, that's a really good example of one form of discipline of the personality, or like co-creating one's responses to these situations of not going with the immediate reaction and thinking about how you wish to respond.
Right.
Amanda, did you want to do another quote?
Let's see, which one? I read so much and I got underlines and there is.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at not basically a quote, but I was looking at all the words they use, like love and understanding, and like the seeker seeks.
All right. Well,
you do it.
Okay,
I have so many
I'll do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I guess. Yeah, I have two more that I somehow grouped with character sculpting in the consciousness work.
Go ahead.
I think the theme is related. But one is, so this is from 2021, September 8th. So through a deeper and deeper yes to whatever it is that is arising, through this inner non-resistance, much is open to the seeker, that this energy may flow more unimpededly and fully, and with greater strength into the system, to not only power the system, but rise higher and higher, that it may meet and mate with the North Pole energy, eventually, ultimately at the Indigo Ray Center, dismantling the veil and the illusions of separation created therein. And I internally connect it with this quote from 1989, December 3rd. Could one do without glory? By no means. To say glory is also to say passion. Glory is the passion of the heart, and it has artifacts in the Blu-ray of communication of an inspirational nature in the indigo ray of work done upon the self in self-healing, self-forgiveness, self-quieting, and above all, self-acceptance. The beginning of loving others as one loves the self is to discover the glory within the self, to forgive the self for its behaviors, which shall be various due to the workings of free will, so that one may concentrate as much as possible simply on loving and being with the Infinite One. So, from these quotes, I read into this that one aspect of working with catalysts in these deeper meditative states is that instead of just repressing things, when we work with them and learn to accept them, we allow much more energy to flow through the system, which allows more power and also rising higher through our body. And also, loving and forgiving allows us to focus much more on loving and being with the Infinite One in ourselves and in others.
Yeah, that really resonates with me because
Mhm.
like, say for instance, if a person hasn't forgiven themselves, then they may feel a sense of unworthiness because they're
Yeah.
like, oh, they have a sense of guilt and shame or whatever, and then they're dealing with that emotion. They're not feeling one with the creator at that point.
Mhm.
And so by using their heart to forgive and love themselves, then they can release themselves from uh, their mind ruminating about whatever it is, and then go back to actually being one with the creator. you know
Mhm.
and I guess it would be good to well, that all is well and all will be well, and the loving and accepting, and your spouse and your family, and then all beings, and then communicating clearly, being honest with yourself and with others, and then you get to the indigo ray of being one with the infinite one.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really beautiful that way.
Yeah, and like it
Mhm.
reminds me that one of the big issues with unworthiness is that if I feel unworthy, I might actually block a lot of energy flows that would benefit me or even flow through me, or
Mhm.
I might not step up to take action because I think myself unworthy when I could
Mhm.
try a bit and learn.
Right. Also on that is you feel unworthy, and you tend not to talk. You tend to stop, and you have. And I've been there, and I used to be real quiet, and for okay, I was picked on like high school or not elementary school, so it made me very quiet and timid, and I got out of that as I got older, but for reading and putting some of this into action, I became less fearful of talking. Maybe maybe it's because somebody might say something. Maybe I said something wrong, and I was fearful of that. But as I realized that we're all learning, and I don't have a problem with somebody giving me different avenues or ideas,
Mhm.
and I think that opens you up to a lot more. And like you said, it opens you up, and you receive more, you understand more. It just kind of starts clarifying things for you. Um, I actually had that quote underlined too because I thought it was great. Yeah, it's perfect.
I just got one last quote, and then we're going to move on to the consensus bit here. So 2007, 1124. Here, one is always dealing with unseen things. In the indigo ray, one has left the physical body behind. The indigo ray is physically placed at the third eye position, at which the Hindu monk will place a red dot. For in the Hindu system of belief, there is a great appreciation of this chakra, and it is believed by them as well as us that it is the gateway, the door to direct contact with intelligent infinity, or as they would put it, the creator. Mhm. And that just I like that quote because it ties in with Hinduism.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and the intelligent infinity bit too.
Mhm. I'm just amazed at how long they can sit and meditate. It's like, wow, that takes a long time.
Yeah, yeah, and in Hinduism and Buddhism, but also I think at least that there were Christian mystics at
Mhm.
some point, and then they would do a lot of meditation as well. And so I think all faith practices have their own meditation in them. Though I know that maybe in modern day Christianity, out of a desire to feel to say that no, we're not like Hinduism, no, we're not like Buddhism. They've abandoned meditation and prayer, at
Mhm.
least in some denominations. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Quite a
even though it
few.
was part of their historical,
Mhm.
they've been doing it for thousands of years.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm sure some have maintained their meditative practices.
Mhm.
So you guys want to move on to kind of definition and consensus?
Yeah,
Um,
that sounds good with me.
okay.
Mhm.
We can
Z-
try.
Zar, you want to start? How would you define indigo ray?
Hmm. Oh, for me, it's that there are many high level themes that are becoming clear with Indigo Ray, yet I find it hard to define, and it is related to how work in consciousness often involves resting in and being in states that are very clear and yet not quite definable in words. I think there's even a passage that says that concepts become concrete on their own, and one intuitively knows and can work with the concepts on a level that's different than the level needed for the Blu-ray communication. So, if you have a good definition of indigo ray, please teach me.
Okay, well, I was thinking indigo ray is the third eye chakra. It is the sixth chakra. It's the sixth energy
Mhm.
center, and it is the gateway to intelligent infinity. And the keys to unlocking the gateway is a sense of worthiness, that one is worthy of receiving the information, of knowing all that there is to know, of accessing the one infinite creator, that one is worthy to communicate with God. Um, and the
Hmm.
kind of main blockages are feeling unworthy. And then, in order to really utilize the indigo ray, one must integrate it, what they have learned, into their personality and kind of back down through the other chakras to help them balance all the chakras. And in order to use the indigo ray at its utmost ability, one needs to also balance, at the very least, the lower three chakras, but ideally all the lower chakras, which, as I mentioned before, so the red ray, it's the survival thing, and it gets blocked by fear related to survival. And how we unblock it is resting in the faith that all is well and all will be well. And then the orange ray is about personal relationships, and it gets blocked when either you wish to, when you want to engage in BDSM. Basically, if you want to dominate someone, or if you want to be dominated by someone in a personal one-on-one relationship. And then the key to unblocking it is loving and accepting yourself and that other person,
Hmm.
as both of you are the divine. Both of you are deserving of love and
Hmm.
kindness, and both of you have value. And then the third chakra has to do with your family and your very close friends, those who you have a regular interpersonal relationship with. And then and it has a very similar way of blocking, is if you're trying to control other people, within your family, or if uh, don't feel like worthy to interact or to provide, and you're just kind of going along with it. And then the unblocking is loving, accepting yourself and your family and the other people of your family. So you're not just a rag that someone is or a rug for your family, but you're also not a domineering person. You are loving your family, you're hearing the divine with everyone, you're valuing everyone's opinion in your family, and you're valuing yourself and your contribution to your family. And then the heart is when you are valuing all beings. So you've gone beyond just doing things for your family, but now you realize that the divine is within everyone, everything, every blade of grass, and then you are recognizing the love within everything. And so the blockage of the green ray is when a person says, "Oh, I'm going to accumulate everything for my family, uh, and not for everybody else." And so that blocks the heart, or their clique, or their cronies for politicians, And so to unblock the heart, you go beyond just doing things for your cronies. You're doing things for the whole world, finding a way that's going to work for everybody on the planet and the universe. And then we go up to clear communication, which is like the blue ray. And in the blue ray, it is about so it gets blocked when we lie, or when we try to force information on people who don't want that information. And because if you're trying to force information, then that's again controlling. And then on the other hand, if you're lying, then you're not being honest. You're not communicating clearly. And so by being truthful, and by respecting, communicating when people are open to receiving that information, when they've asked to receive that information, then you have clear blue ray. And then finally get back up to the indigo, and that's what we've been talking about. You have to feel yourself as worthy of communing with the divine, with the one infinite creator that is within all, and then knowing, and then hearing in that still small silent voice, the answer to whatever question you are, and then having faith that that is the answer.
Like, could one almost say that the indigo ray energy center is the energy center of harmony and balance?
Absolutely.
I think they have said that in others, is that with the indigo ray, you can balance all the others, because you can find out. It's like, well, why am I unbalanced in this ray? And then you can find out about that.
Oh, this makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like the indigo ray energy center is incredibly sensitive to like any imbalances in multiple chakras or any chakra system, and any unworthiness anywhere will reach up to it. Yet this sensitivity is perhaps a feature, because that means we can learn to be very responsive to any imbalances
Yes.
or blockages.
Exactly. It's kind of like the eye that lets you see through to the bottom, right? And so you can see if there's any blockages in the in the way. It's like, hey, my flow is getting loosened or lessened by a blockage in one of the lower regions. It's like, well, you work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with everything. You just summed it up to perfect.
All right, great.
I can't say anymore. It's great.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I don't, is there more we wanted to discuss on the indigo ray for now, or like meditation practices?
I pretty much agree. The one topic we didn't touch on that I noticed is that basically, like, almost any school of advanced meditation work, getting stream entry or persistent non-somatic experience, is essentially indigo ray work, it seems.
Could you expand on that in a non-somatic experience? What does that mean?
Oh, well, it's just like states of being where one experiences just profound silence or spaciousness, or like non-dual perception where there's no longer a perceived boundary between self and other, and what one can experience quite a stable peace in these states, sometimes great flow.
Is that samadhi, or is that what you're talking about? Or, where you come to that point where it's all quiet and is that, yeah?
Yeah, I think samadhi lines up with some type of this experience as well.
So I know the theta wave, basically the theta brain waves are the brain waves associated with intuitive abilities. And so if you're meditating and you wish to achieve that indigo ray connection, then say, for instance, you're doing an alpha wave meditation where you're concentrating on a thing or counting your breath or one of those are fairly like still and silent. Like it's kind of like you have tunnel vision and you're just looking at this one thing. And now, and you feel calmer than you are in a waking state. And now if you go and you stop counting, or you stop kind of focusing, you let your focus loosen, and then you allow yourself to continue to relax, and then you're going down into theta wave. And in theta wave, then you start to kind of random abstract shapes may arise, or you may start to get imagery, and then you're in theta wave. And in theta wave, you can ask a question, and then you can receive an answer as this dream world will answer to you. And then you're in that indigo ray space.
Been there.
Yeah. We all have been there. Every night when we go to bed, we go through there. Yeah. Because it's considered a medium sleep or something. If alpha is like a light sleep, and then theta is like a medium sleep, and delta is a deep sleep. Yeah. And yeah, with practice you can achieve that during waking consciousness. You can just hold a minute, and then say, hey, spirit guide or Holy Spirit, or however you want to call it, what is the answer to this? And then just keep that theta wave frequency and hear the answer.
Yeah, I saw a really beautiful passage from another book, like by Richard Dotz, recently, about how with practice one can go through almost all of life in this sort of shower state. Like in a shower state, I'm grounded in the physical world and what I'm doing, and yet I'm also in a very like dreamy state where thoughts just sort of float up and come and go. So it's a mixture of being grounded and being in this sort of dream space.
Perfect.
yeah. That's exactly kind of what the Confederation says is the good thing, because they were saying like one of the dangers, if you will, of some of the Eastern denominations is they kind of negate the physical and the family, and so their lower chakras are blocked or not functioning adequately, and then they're stuck in the higher chakras, but they're not getting much flow because they're not experiencing sexuality. They're not experiencing their families. They're not experiencing spousal relationships.
They just stay up there.
Yes, exactly. They just stay up here, but it's kind of like a tree, that has a weak trunk is just going to fall over. And so, but by having that shower state where you're also grounded in the earth, and in your sexuality, and in your your spousal relations and your family relations and your relations with your society, and your Twitter or whatever wisdom, honesty, that then you can have a really strong flow into your indigo ray.
Right.
Like if I was just doing this podcast myself, I wouldn't have much to say because I wouldn't have like this dynamic of people to talk to.
You'd give your 5-minute speech and be done.
Yeah.
You were talking. Oh, go ahead.
Well, this full spectrum aspect of the like Confederation of Planets philosophy is one of the things that I strongly resonate with. Like, in a passage from 2020 and February 20th, they talk about moving into the Indigo Ray center in such a manner that the self is able to both experience the infinity of creation and the identity of self. So one is experiencing like being the universe and non-duality, and on some level at the same time also integrating identity of the self. So like, there's not a need to choose one or the other. I don't need to overcome a desire for Andrii BDSM. I can find a way to integrate that with worthiness and have the full spectrum in there.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that particular one, but
Well, it's not actually my current Andrii direction.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess if it can be done in a loving way, because
I'm absolutely sure that it can be.
Sacred spirituality
it can be very consensual and trusting, actually.
Yes,
like the Dom has a very large responsibility and love and care to really see to it that the sub has all of its needs met, and the sub is like near absolute faith that the Dom is truly watching over for her and can feel worthy of like his care and like respect.
Yeah,
and
anything is
very
possible.
loving for people for whom it works. This is talking from friends.
Yeah. Trust, and you have to be trust and care. I mean, it has to be so mutual.
Yeah,
for it to work. I think, I don't know anything about it, but for me, for it to work, wow, you have to really trust each other, and you
have to see the divine within each other, at each point, and realize that this is just a play and an illusion, and you're just playing with the scenery. Yeah. And it's not out of a desire to control, it's not out of a desire to enslave, but out of a desire to have a new experience, something like that. Yeah. So any final reflections on the Indigo Ray before we do or Zar does the outro?
Yeah, I'll share one more quote that I loved.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
So 1987, September 17th. The humor of the Indigo Ray is silent, explosive, peaceful, and spontaneous. Yet that humor is also a sardonic humor, a humor in balance, and most often a humor without words.
So, a humor without words. Oh, yes, I remember. I remember Jonathan Tong posted some of those wordless memes.
Okay.
I had that underlined too.
Yeah, so it's a way of saying I have no more words.
Right. I'm gonna have to use that.
So Indigo is feeling worthiness, regardless of what one may be doing, on any of the other chakras, and interacting with people in the world.
Yeah, and experiencing being the one infinite creator and relating to others as the one infinite creator. Right. Shall I read the outro?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right. We end this session and are grateful to the audience. In this teaching experiment, we have attempted to learn a topic as a social memory conflict that is harmonious and full of unconditional love, which characteristics are extremely important to us because we resonate with the Confederation philosophy and believe we are, as humanity, forming and becoming a loving, unified, and harmonious social memory complex from the planet Earth. We thank the Confederation and LL Research. If you'd like to support LL Research, you can go to their website at llresearch.org to donate and or buy their books and other material. However, all LL Research material is free at their website. We hope this teaching experiment will give one knowledge that will help one see the love in the moment, will help one open their heart more and more, and more clearly see the unity of all. We thank you all for viewing, and please know that we love each other and you. At this time, we leave you as we found you, in love and light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai Vasu Boragus.